And good afternoon to all of our influencers today. And I want to welcome everyone that's watching live and will be watching the replay over the next several days. I know many of you like to catch it on the replay and to your convenience, and I'm happy that you do that. Today we have a little topic that I think maybe could help you with your business, and it's called "How to Dominate Your Local Chamber." Now, domination that's kind of a strong word. You think, well, dominate. Well, does that make me out in front? Does it make me too visible? What does it mean? Well, it means very simply that you want to be a part of and into the entire structure of the Chamber of Commerce, as we always say, working from the inside out. But there are ways to do it, and we've talked about many of them over time that we've been together. So today, let me start by sharing my screen, and we will talk about some of the points here. So dominate your local chamber. And I mean that sincerely, because if you follow any of the tips that we have given in the past and some of the things we're going to talk about today, you can truly be that go-to person within the Chamber of Commerce. The chamber is no it's no respecter of people. I mean, everyone's there hoping to grab the silver or the golden ring as they go around the merry-go-round, but most of them simply do not know how to approach it. So the best way that you approach any of this is through planning. Now, planning. All right, let's talk about it a minute. When I talk about planning, I'm talking about before you go to any chamber function, you want to have an idea of why you're going. If it's to a networking event, for example, why or who do you want to get in touch with there? Do you have a plan of contact with a one person, two people, three people? And the basic best way in that networking is to go to that networking meeting with this one plan in mind. Meet one person that you can dig very deep roots with, and in essence, in some ways, become friends while you're there. Now, other planning would be I'm going to be a part of uh, a volunteer project. Now, why do you want to be a part of that volunteer project? You have to plan your tactics. What's the reason that you want to do that? Or you want to go to the morning breakfast, or you want to go to an evening meal, and there are people that are volunteers from the chamber that are serving. Now, why wouldn't you want to be one of the people serving instead of just one of the people taking a plate of food and going and sitting down? And the whole idea is to plan the reasons that you go to any function or participate in any way with the Chamber of Commerce. Now, who should be on your radar screen when you're making these plans? Well, of course, you want to target the people of the largest influence. You want to target those people who are already involved, deeply involved in the Chamber of Commerce. You certainly want to develop relationships with them. And by relationships, I'm talking about finding things in common. As I think it was Tim Nichols that we had on, or no, actually it was Steve Scott that we've had on our program before. I think Steve said it's more important, that's Tim, it's more important to find something, someone in common than it is to find something in common. But you need both of those. When you're talking to someone, find something or someone in common that you can talk about. Why? Because you don't want to sit there and talk about your business all the time. You may mention what you do, but that's not how you want to approach it. But on your radar screen, your first people, regardless of whether you're in the chamber as a brand new person or you've been there a year, the people on your radar screen are the top people. And those are the ones that you want to put on your planning list. Now, when you do that, the secret's in the follow-up. You hear that all the time in digital marketing. The secret's in the follow-up, or in the one before, the money's in the list. Well, you're talking about people on your radar screen. That's your list. You're developing a list, and the money is in the list. But the secret is also in the follow-up. When you get in touch with these people and you share information with them, especially since you're doing it on a scale of 1 or 2 people at a time, then you want to follow up after that session. And I want to talk about follow up and saying, oh, by the way, I have Facebook advertising I want to do, or by the way, I'd like to take a look at your website. The follow up is, hey, it was really great to get to know you. Hope we have a chance to talk more in the future. And if he has a business that you can drop in on from time to time, some sort of retail shop or something like that, just say, I'm looking forward to dropping in at Katie's Diner or Sally's Dress Shop and just take a look at your business. Take a look at what you're doing. I'm looking forward to doing that. If you have a chance, give me a shout, or I'm sure I'll see you at the Chamber of Commerce. Do some sort of follow-up with them. It could be an email, it could be a text message. It actually, one of the best ways to do it is the old-fashioned way, snail mail. Make up some cards with your logo on it, and with that particular logoed greeting card or response card, whatever you want to call it, write a personal note and send it in the mail. That is a whole lot more effective than a text or an email. But the text and email work as well. But a follow-up with snail mail, that's just darn strong, because they don't ever hardly get things like that. It'll build the relationship even stronger. But let me say this too. You don't necessarily have to even think that that person will ever be a client. He may not need what you have to offer, but you're still getting to know him, aren't you? You're still digging down, sharing things in common, that thing or that person in common that you had, building a relationship. And whether or not he ever buys anything from you or uses any of your services, he's going to know who you are, and he's going to know other people who do need your services. So he is a follow-up, when you follow up, he becomes even a stronger referral prospect for you, referral network for you. So you're building your referral network, you're building your client base, but you're doing it in a way that is not obtrusive, not pushy. It's simply one-on-one, getting to know the people. Now, the other thing that you want to do in the chamber is you want to target your volunteer committees. I target those. Every chamber has dozens of committees. The larger they are, the more they have it. So when you look at the ways to volunteer within the chamber, which I recommend highly, and you've heard me say it over and over again, you need to be an integral part of the Chamber of Commerce. But if you want to be a volunteer and you want to work within the system and work from the inside out, pick your committees carefully. Pick the ones that you know will put you in touch with the most influencers, the people that you want to get to know more than all the rest. Because when you sit around the table at a chamber committee meeting, you've got the chairman of the committee sitting at the head of the table, the rest of them are sitting around the edges. And when you have met, in some cases you'll meet every month, and then closer to the event that the committee is set up for, you're going to meet every week, maybe every other week. Before you know it, you know everybody in that room personally, and you have very, very, very strong contacts with them because you're also going to be working and contacting them back and forth on what you're doing within that committee. So pick the committees that have the strongest influences on them. Pick the committees that are probably the most ingrained in that chamber because committees come and go, projects come and go. Committees like if they do the Christmas parade, for example, tremendous committee to be on because it's fairly short term. You'll meet for 2 or 3 months and you get to know the people, but you also work with them on the day of the event. Or you might pick other types of committees like Recycle Day, for example. A lot of chambers do recycling, and they pick a day and they promote it and get up to that date. But they have a committee that's part of that that draws in the people that take the cans or the batteries or shred the paper or whatever is part of the recycling. So those people, again, you get to know and you get a relationship built with them. So get into a committee that makes sense for you and makes sense for your business. So when you do all of that and you're around and you volunteered and you participated in the Chamber of Commerce, you then become a thought leader. Now, what exactly is a thought leader? A thought leader is a person that people go to for advice, maybe information, maybe they go to them for just directions on a project. But the more that people see you involved and the more they see you out and doing, the more they believe that you are worth talking to. You're worth getting to know. So being that thought leader is a tremendous way to grow your reputation, your credibility, and your influence, not only in the chamber, but in the community itself. So, although we haven't covered this a lot in detail, you have to plan in order to dominate. Plan what you do, plan the steps, plan the reasons you're doing it. Don't just walk into a meeting, don't just walk into an environment within the Chamber of Commerce without a specific idea of what you want to accomplish there. All extremely important when you are building your own business and your reputation. I hope all of you become thought leaders within your community. So with that being said, I know we've got a couple of folks that are here today. I know we have Scott has joined us. Scott, I'd like to get a little input on this from you. Can you give me an idea of what do you think it takes to become a thought leader within a Chamber of Commerce? Can you help us out there a little bit? Maybe Scott's not around. All right. I know Carl is here. Carl, you want to chip in and give us a little thought as far as becoming a thought leader with the Chamber of Commerce?
Are you talking about the time that I went streaking through the parking lot to get their attention? Is that the thought process?
Well, I don't know if that makes you a thought leader, but it certainly draws attention. You know, streaking is kind of old-fashioned, though. You know.
I think a thought leader is multifold. Number one, they have earned people's respect. Number two, they're a person that may have been seasoned around the either the chamber or their industry, and they have experiences that have been tried and true. But I also think that a lot of people sit on knowledge and don't act on it, and they don't pull the trigger in life in general. And those are the people that you have to stick your toe in the water to get it wet. If you stick your toe in the water, you might get bit by a crocodile in the same process, but you lose out on the experience if you don't try. So I think that's the multi-layer of what you're looking for a thought leader, a thought process. And I know that every day that goes by, I learn more and more and more about what I don't know. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
One of my one of my heroes when it comes to be a thought leader is my dad. My dad is one of the most well-read persons that I know, and he's my hero. And you can pick a subject with him, and you can sit with him for half an hour and talk about the Huguenots, the Catholics versus the Protestants, and how many thousands of people were killed in the process and why. And for me, the reasons of what led up to a decision are important. So history is the result of teaching us things where we have stumbled, and that's why I respect a lot of his thought process.
Yeah, all very important. And I know that oftentimes that we stumble into a situations without a without it being thought out. And we would have the tendency, and I was guilty of that too. We have a tendency to say, okay, well, I'm going to this particular event, but you don't really have a plan of what you're going to do when you get there. And I think it's important that you at least have an idea of what you want to accomplish while you're there. Would you agree with that?
Right, absolutely. Otherwise I think you're just you're taking up space.
Yeah.
I think you got to be respectful to your time and other people's times. If you're there for a purpose and a reason, and you're going to enhance people's lives, then again, get on the horse and get the job done. I'm not in business to do a hobby. I did, that's I don't have enough time in the day to do that kind of thing.
Precisely. And if you have a plan when you're going in, you get it accomplished and you move on from there.
Right.
It's always good to tick one off your list, right?
Sure, exactly. And I think that's when you've got somebody that has a number of those projects that have been put up and tried, and they have results. I think they're a great person to refer to and say, hey, you know what do you think about this? When you take Toastmasters courses, which is a nonprofit self-help type club, and there's thousands of these clubs around. One of the biggest things that you can get on your speech is feedback from people on how well the speech came off. Did it deliver the point? Did it come across? Was it believer? Look at ministers. I mean, ministers struggle all the time from week to week. What am I going to talk about this week? Well, that's half the battle. Can you deliver it across the threshold in a manner that keeps people awake? I'll tell you what, one of the toughest speeches to write is a 3-minute speech. You can give somebody 30 minutes and they can yammer on and blah, 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 talk about everything else in the weather, but get to the point in a 3-minute speech. That's talent that you have to work at.
I couldn't agree more there. It is something that has to be learned along the way. That is for sure. Scott, are you still with us today, buddy? I just unmuted you. So are you still around?
I am here.
Okay. Well, I wanted to turn your direction. Carl has been extremely helpful as far as talking about being a thought leader. I don't know if you were able to consider that as I was going down through it on your domination, but the thought leader what does that mean to you? What does the thought leader mean to you personally?
Well, I think having an idea of what I want my business to look at, how I want people to see it, how I want them to be able to find it, what the experience is once they get to a website, or anything that I may have for them, what their experience is, are always things that with our team that we're always trying to look at and improve upon, because it always, my thoughts are one thing, but if I build it and they come and their experience is not what I had hoped for them, they're not going to come again. So keeping on top of things to make sure that, and always being vigilant to being open to change. Once I see that there might be a problem in Houston, and having the flexibility to change on the fly if need be, I think is real important.
Oh, that's flexibility, and that's critical for any type of business manager too. Uh, it's easier for a small business to be flexible and to turn on a dime, of course, than it is a larger corporation. They have a little bit more trouble, but we as small business people have the opportunity, if we make that decision, to make a 180 and say, that didn't work, I'm going to head this direction. So, but being a thought leader itself is someone that's out there getting the job done and making other people, if you will, not making them, but causing other people to notice that they're getting things done. And then along the way, people start thinking, well, maybe I should ask him about what we should do, because he's done it. I can see that he's done it before. So, thought leader is the person you want to turn to. Scott, I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody today being on for our webinar, Wednesday training webinar. I will be posting this so that everybody can see it. We had a little glitch on our Facebook Live today, so we'll work on that little problem along the way. So I'll sign off for now and just simply say, everyone, as you go down the road, remember to listen, learn, and care. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Bye-bye.